I'm Shaun Bindley, and this is Between the Lines. Now I want to set the scene for you. At the Woodford Folk Festival earlier this year, it's about 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening, and I'm walking around the festival looking for something different, something that I'd never heard before. Not uncommon at the Woodford Folk Festival to hear just that, but up until that point, I hadn't been able to find anything that was really making me go, wow. Walking past the Murray venue though, I heard the sound of the most extraordinary didgeridoo playing, something that I'd never heard before in my life. Saw a show that encompassed traditional didgeridoo playing, sampling and modern technology like I'd never heard before. And that artist was Tjupurru, and he joins me here today. G'day, mate.
G'day, how you going, mate?
Very good. Look, we're not going to waste a lot of time talking because we really want to get to and showcase your extraordinary talent. How did you begin playing the didgeridoo? You're from the Tjupurru people from northwest and Western Australia, is that right?
Yeah, that's my Aboriginal connection to Australia, or Indigenous connection. We were born in Papua New Guinea.
Yep.
I was all my family. We were there for 3 generations when the first Catholic missionaries took a whole lot of single, kids to the country with the first, when they were setting up the church there.
Yep.
And all my ancestors came from all over, pretty much Melanesia.
Yeah, okay.
Met each other there, married there, and that's where, 3 generations later I was born up there.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, your career in the last 2 years, you've gone from working as a sound engineer to all of a sudden you're playing festivals all the way around the world. I know it was back in 2006 when I think you may have been a little frustrated with the progress your career was made, and you stood up and took a stand for yourself, and since then you've been playing in front of hundreds of thousands of people all around the world. It must have been an incredible journey for you.
It has been, and it's, that old saying of, right place, right time, way before 2006 sort of kicked off big time. I'd been travelling New Zealand, playing in little primary schools in tiny little towns, going up to Papua New Guinea, going to open mic sessions down the Gold Coast where no one, has heard of in Brisbane. So it was just, head down and gig anywhere we could.
Playing with everybody you could, whenever you could.
Whenever we could, sort of thing, and just trying to take, taking any opportunity that was offered, and in the end, this one day happened there was a big music conference called Big Sound in Brisbane, and a guy called Nick Mills invited me there, and nothing was happening real, that would have developed anything. The same story of, we're not interested in you or what you're doing, and then I actually stuck my gear in front of the beginning of a showcase thing and played in front of, just so I could, hopefully get some attention. And then there was a connection with my manager, Jordan Verzar, and within, a few months of that, I was 120,000 people in front of me at the Domain with Aieto Moreira.
Well, not only that, but some of the world's great sort of world music artists are lining up to play with you.
Well, yeah, that's the weird thing, but that's cool, It's beats playing in my garage, which all alone, which that's I've been there for a lot of years now, since Charlie McMahon, actually the Digmaster who inspired me, shared all his technology and his inventiveness with Didjeribone and stuff. So
well, look, we're going to get you to play for us after we come back from the break. My guest is Tjupurru today. Tjupurru.com, Tjupurru. You're watching Between the Lines. I'm Shaun Bindley, and we'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Between the Lines. I'm Shaun Bindley, and my guest today is 21st century Digitronica artist Tjupurru. You've got an amazing setup of gear here for us. How did you start putting all this together? I mean, the first thing, the Didjeribone?
The Didjeribone, well, it's an invention by the master himself, Charlie McMahon, who was actually my, I suppose, inspiration behind modern Didge or Didge playing.
People might know him from his work with Gondwana, for example.
Gondwana Land, Midnight Oil. I think he did, you know, Priscilla, The Desert. He did the soundtracking for that.
Yeah, okay.
And lots of other bands he toured and played with. But his music from Gondwanaland was the stuff I heard when I was at high school in Cairns, boarding school up there. And from there it was like, okay, that's what I want to be. I want to be like Charlie.
Yeah, okay.
Or Gondwanaland.
Yep.
And then no Google in those days, so it was, you know, only thing I could find was a Hoover. 1981 Hoover vacuum cleaner pipe, and off I went.
Yeah,
but the Didjeribone he invented around that time when he was touring with not only the Oils but with his band Gondwanaland, and because I think the band became centred around a didgeridoo, it required more.
Because the didges, a normal didge does have restrictions.
Yeah.
You can only play in one key. You've only got a couple of notes that you can use, but the Didjeribone just opens up a whole new world, doesn't it?
Yeah. It becomes an actual instrument which you can then work with other bands in key changing, and you know, there's a lot of guys out there using 3 different tone, 3 different size wood, but you're stuck with actually only playing one at a time. Just because the nature of them. So with this being just like a trombone, we can slide through 10 different notes.
Yeah, okay.
Or tones, you know.
Okay. Now the other thing, of course, that's really created this unique style of music that you've created is the face bass. Now that's something else that Charlie McMahon's come up with.
Yeah, and the face bass was his quite amazing idea, where he uses what's called an accelerometer, which I think for everyone to understand, it's something that goes underground, about 1 kilometre down usually to or more, that picks up seismic vibration or, you know, an earthquake, you know.
So never intended for uses in a musical form at all?
Well, no, I don't think ever thought of, you know. So, but you know, with Charlie's mentality behind it, it was all about trying to capture what was happening inside the mouth. You know, for many years we'd been always, still to this day, a didgeridoo is mic'd from the end, and you've got the same sound. You know, you can adjust a few little things with a little bit of reverb, delay, or whatever you needed to change, you know, that sound. But the source of the didgeridoo, which is the human body, was never thought of as the instrument, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So by inserting the face bass into your mouth, then it then picks up what's actually happening while you're playing. And
you combine that with your looping technology and your samplers and everything else. Can you give us a look at how it works?
Okay. So for example, I'll wind her up, and if I try and speak into the sensor is right on the tip here. And if I try and speak into it, okay, nothing's happening. But for example, if I rub it on my teeth like a toothbrush, okay, but it stops dead. And then, so because it stops so dead, even if it was inside our mouth, if you're playing something, that's what would happen. So if I put it in, for example, and try and speak with it, nothing is actually working because it's not being vibrated on. So if I tap on it, I can get my kick drum sound. And then if I put it through an actual effect, say for example, a big delay sound, and suck air through it while I'm, you know, doing things, or if I vibrate like such, you pick up the big sound, okay? You then connect it up to the instrument, and then, as you can see, the didgeribone slides through the different sizes to give us different notes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the face bass has become something that with the sound itself, you know, you've never really heard. No one's ever mic'd up inside our mouths. So, you know, the sounds of just saliva squishing around, or the sound of a cough, you know, is totally different to what we would usually hear.
Yeah, well, it's that basic principle of head noise and atmospheric noise, and
Exactly right.
you can't hear what's actually going on inside your mouth because you're listening from outside.
Yeah. And that's what makes the whole the sounds that I get to use in my songs pretty unique, in the fact that there's a lot of noise in there that we don't hear, and then when it does come out, you go, hang on, what was that? And you try and replicate it. Then you try and find ways of, I wonder if that would work with this speed or that beat or this, you know, any sort of.
I mean, you're the only artist using this technology at the moment, so it must be a constant journey of discovery. Every time you plug your gear in and pick up your digit, it must be something else. Yeah.
Well, actually, I'll correct. Well, Charlie's still, you know,
Sure.
Charlie and I. This was number 2 made in the world, on the planet, I think. And when he gave it to me, it was sort of like, just don't go killing yourself with it, because, you know, those.
Make sure you keep wearing your rubber-soled shoes.
Oh yeah. So, but Charlie was doing his music has gone sort of like, you can separate us as to the style and music, but the basic, it's like both of us getting a Fender, and he can play like Jimi Hendrix and me like Roy Orbison or something. You know what I mean? So. But both of us are still, we're in close contact phone-wise, and if anything pops up in our heads, we'll get a phone call or an email, and it'll be like, hey, have you checked this out? You know? I go, what was that? And I go, hey, and then I'll ring him up and go, hey, do you know you can, you know, have you know, sampled drinking, you know, water with it while you're playing in between your shows? So,
tell me about that, because you've got some water there, Shaun.
I've okay, this experiment kind of thing happened by accident. Maybe I'll get you to hold it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened was, I was at the Australian Catholic Uni on the north side, and I was doing this show there, and I had to plug into a PowerPoint outside, and we set up the PA outside, and where the PowerPoint was, had this a pond kind of thing with running water. Yeah. And I thought, hang on, this thing's in my gob, it's in my mouth, maybe, I wonder if it'll happen. So what I did was I raced up, locking my samplers there. Hang on, turn that off, get this ready. And then I shoved the face space like so in there. Okay, hopefully it won't move. Wind this up. Locked it down, thank you, sir. Okay, and there I have a running river. Okay, thanks to the face space.
Yeah.
I then had a few little bird sounds. So we then have just set up ourselves a forest kind of thing. Then we continue just by adding and then hit the switches and it's all gone.
That is truly amazing.
So pretty much, yeah, it's with the whole experimental side, it's like you're saying, with the water trick or anything that has been happening, I've been in different places, different situations where I've heard a sound and gone, I wonder if we can do that. And like this little toy I was showing you, it's used. You can only buy them in New Zealand, and I was over there. For over many years, I've been over 50 times, and shepherds or farmers use these to call their dogs with.
Okay, it's a dog whistle.
It's a dog whistle, and the thing that got me about it was we're staying at a few different farms, and you'd hear these guys whistling and dogs barking and sheep cruising along the place. You go, well, I want to whistle like that, because these guys are miles away. You can hear them. So when they'd come in and go, man, how'd you learn to whistle like that? And he pulled out this.
Show me how that.
So it just goes into your mouth, and depending on how you adjust your tongue and your mouth around it. So it becomes another instrument for me. I mean, not only is the face bass and the Didjeribone become my tools of work or my music, the effects,
it's all part of the setup.
It's all part of the setup.
Yeah. Look, we're going to have to go to a break, and we'll come back and we're going to get you to play something for us.
Sure.
My guest today is Tjupurru, a wonderful 21st century digitronica artist, and you're watching Between the Lines. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Between the Lines. I'm Shaun Bindley, and my guest today is Tjupurru. Now, we've been talking about how you put all your sounds together. Can you create a soundscape for us?
Yeah, sure. I've been talking to a whole lot of people in Broome at the moment, and where my ancestors, or one section of my ancestors came from. And when I went over there for the first time about year 2000, and I went back about 2004, I was taken out to the bush, a place called Sandy Point, and shown by family the traditional area, and the sounds I heard, so if you can imagine yourself in a four-wheel drive driving out bush and parked right next to the ocean, and then everything that sort of comes from there, this is pretty much what I heard then that day is what I'll play for you.
Okay, great.
But it's as I usually play, as more sounds come into my head, I just throw them in. So it's sort of like
it's a constant improvisation.
Exactly right.
And we're going to use some water as well.
Yeah. Well, I might finish it off with the water.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and here we go. There you go. There's the Kimberley.
That is just amazing.
Thank you, mate.
That is just amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
And hey, thanks very much, Mr. Shaun Bindley, and then everybody make sure you listen to Between the Lines on QCTV.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciate your time. My guest today, Tjupurru, a magnificent artist. What a pleasure. You've been watching Between the Lines. I'm Shaun Bindley, and I'll speak to you again very soon.